Hey guys, welcome back to the Bar Top Podcast. Today is a very special episode because today we are doing an interview with Justine. Justine is one of my best friends, also someone I used to work with. I'm not going to dox you and tell everyone where we used to work. But I wanted to have Justine on because Justine recently left her job and started pursuing her creative talents and started a YouTube channel. You started it before you left, but the biggest thing was you started your own brand, which I think is the most amazing thing ever. I wish I had the courage and the drive to do something like that because that's pretty scary. But welcome to the podcast. I'm glad that you were able to get on, and this is fun.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
excited.
you so much for having me. I've been wanting to come on ever since you started it, so I'm glad to be here.
No, I'm glad you are. So let's start with your YouTube channel because that came first.
Yeah.
So what is your YouTube channel?
Okay, my YouTube channel is just my name, Justine Lugo.
Okay.
And I started it in July of 2019. And when I first started it, I wanted to do like fashion and makeup and then I guess kind of more like lifestyle or whatever. And then like as I started doing my channel and stuff, I feel like I did a lot of like experimental videos where I just tried different things. I feel like your first videos when you're starting a channel not that they don't matter, but you're kind of just figuring out what you want to do, what people want to see, all that kind of stuff. And I've always been more into like streetwear and just like more underground type things. And so I started doing some videos on that, and those started getting like more attention and stuff. And that's already what like I like anyways, but I just didn't know if there would be really like an audience or if people would want to watch me and stuff. So now I like we were talking about earlier, I kind of had like found my own niche or whatever and like what works for me. So it's kind of hard because when people are like, what would you describe your YouTube as? I don't really know how I would describe it. I guess more like streetwear, underground music, and then ultimately just me, like, because I'll still do like videos that don't have to do with that stuff, like just me and stuff, but it's kind of just like honestly like my outlet. So
And it's been crazy because when you started your channel, it was like one of those things where before you had started it, I hadn't heard you talk about it. And I was like, oh,
about
wait,
YouTube?
Oh,
okay.
And then you started it. I was like, what the heck? Like, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
And then when I started watching your videos, I was like, oh my gosh, like you're like serious. Because I feel like most people, when they say, oh, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, it's like one of those things where it's an idea. Yeah. And they'll post one or like they'll create the YouTube channel, create a page, post one or two videos, and then there's nothing else on it. Yeah. But you have like been consistent. Yeah. Like from the beginning, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think the other thing that's crazy is you've started you made the decision to start it and then you've like grown and now it is like becoming bigger and bigger. Because what milestone did you just pass recently?
As of like this morning, because I uploaded a video like a day or two ago, and I usually check it like every day just because but right now I'm like a little over, I like halfway to 8,000, so 7.6 thousand. Oh which is like,
and that's from when did you start?
I started last July 2019, but I don't think like my channel didn't really get like any attention necessarily until like March or April 2020. So it's like the last like 6 months is really when like people actually have like started watching me and stuff. So
that's so crazy.
Yeah, but I agree with what you said when you said like a lot of times people, and I feel like that's why I'm doing, like I wouldn't say I'm like doing crazy or anything, but like it's definitely like a snowball, like it's like starting to roll, you know what I mean? But I think that's what like with YouTube channels or just like anything that people start, a lot of times like it's hard enough to start it, but it's like hard to be consistent, especially because like for like 7 or 8 months, like I was just putting out videos and like realistically like no one was really watching them. I mean, like I would get like 100 or 200 views, which is still like, good, obviously, but it was just like, like it wasn't really getting anywhere. So it's like it's hard to keep like that motivation. But I feel like when you first do something, people aren't really gonna like pay attention, but like the more like serious you are and like the more like you actually show like you care and you're gonna keep up on it, then people will like pay more attention and get more respect for it, Has it been easier to make videos
the further you've gone on?
Uh,
Because I know that's been for the podcast, that's been like kind of my struggle is like finding topics that, because I have super like nerdy things that I'm into, like space and stuff. That obviously I don't have other friends that will have that same knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like with you, because your stuff is so, you, like you said, you have that niche. Has it been easier to make videos? Like,
it's been, I've gotten more comfortable like on camera and stuff, but okay,
I think we're good.
Okay. I've gotten more comfortable on camera. I guess it has been easier, but okay. I would say I think I've gotten better on camera, and in a sense, it has been easier, and it's more motivating because I'm like, okay, I know people want to watch it, or like people will like, you know, tell me like, oh, I'm waiting for you to post a video and stuff. So in that sense, it's gotten easier, but it was definitely hard too because I feel like with my channel, like there is an audience, which I've now learned and stuff. Like there is people that want to watch my videos.
You have a very not specific audience, but like kinda an audience that you know how to target. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think like especially like with the stuff that you like you said you're into space and all that kind of stuff. Like you can't really like talk about it with people unless they know what you're talking about. So like the hard and that's kind of part of the reason why I started a channel too, because like now my friends have like grown to like learn a lot of the stuff that I'm into and stuff, but before like really like no one was into a lot of the stuff I was into, like my friends, because I think like my niche too, like all that underground and streetwear, all that kind of stuff is a lot more like male audience, I guess. Like guys are more into that. So, and obviously I have like a lot of girlfriends, so it was hard. Like that's kind of almost why I started making videos too, because I was like, dang, I'm so excited about these things and like these projects and these collections that are coming out, and I want to talk about them, but you can tell your friends, but they don't really like know what you're talking about, or like even if you were to tell me something really excited like that happened in NASA, I'd be like, oh, you know, that's cool, but you wouldn't like you'd be like, you don't get it, like you don't understand how monumental this is or whatever. You know what I mean?
Gosh.
So
that is how Jordan and Blake, for you guys, I mean, they've been on a couple of episodes. They were the ones that were on the first YouTube one, and they give me such a hard time because like we'll hang out and I'll be like, oh my gosh, SpaceX did this and this week, and they're like, okay, like that doesn't carry any weight with me. And it's just because I have like such a fascination with that stuff that it excites me on a whole different level. But if you're not into that, then you don't care. You know what I mean? So okay, because of that, for people that don't watch that stuff or don't follow like streetwear stuff, is there like a definition of like streetwear and like underground? Like what's the difference between that versus like other branding and like clothing stuff?
There's definitely like a difference. So like it's hard because I feel like especially in like the last year or two, streetwear has like blown up a lot. Like, and when I say that, I mean just like girls wearing baggy clothes and like it's getting more like trendy in a sense. But there's like difference between like what would you say, like streetwear, like okay, let's say like the iconic brands like Supreme, Bape, even like Huff, like stuff that you can like buy in stores. Those obviously that's still streetwear, that's still like those are still like the big dogs of streetwear and everything. But I'm more into like streetwear brands that are more about like more underground, but have more like more than just the clothes. Like there's a message behind the brand, and
so
like,
it's not the branding helps push like a not
different
a narrative
message.
But like a I get
and usually like the brand that like, because obviously I just started a brand, what I'm like trying to do with it too is like it's a brand, but I want you like it's almost like you want to like bring it in and make it kind of like, I don't want to say cult, but kind of it's like, you know what I mean? And that's like I feel like with the brands that I'm into, they all kind of have like a cult following.
I think it's it's like when people can gather around a central idea and like have the same interest in something, it makes it that more special. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, I found someone else that is super interested and super like dedicated or passionate about this one thing, it makes it 10 times better. Like when you have a community like that, I think it's so much cooler.
I think another thing too, like a lot of people that are into the stuff that I'm into, like this might sound kind of cringy, but I feel like I hate mainstreams. I hate being like a person that just like likes stuff because other people like stuff. Like I will like something if I like it. And I'll just be honest, like I like stuff that a lot of people like don't know about too. And I like the fact that a lot of people don't know about it because it makes you feel like, oh, I know about something like really cool and like I know about, you know what I mean? So like even like a brand like Supreme, like obviously I would never like talk bad about a successful brand because they're obviously making money, they're successful. Everyone knows Supreme, you know what I mean? It's like one of the biggest names in streetwear. But it's like then I have like other brands, like another Arizona brand, it's called Foul Play, like definitely not even close to like the biggest name, but it's like I love that brand so much and I follow that brand like to the T. And it's like I feel like a part of something and I'm like, oh, not a lot of people know about this, and it just gives you that feeling, you know what I mean? And that's like the same type of like feeling that I want to give people with my brand, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So speaking of your brand, what is your brand?
So my brand is Strangers. It's Shop Strangers on Instagram. It's the shirt I'm wearing right here,
which is brand new, right?
This just came out yesterday.
You dropped it yesterday, right?
Yeah, literally just yesterday. So we're filming this on Sunday, so it came out Saturday the 24th. But nice. So this is actually a collab too. This is with another small brand of my friend. His name's Dalton. He runs a brand called Six Scope. But so Strangers, the kind of the message behind Strangers that I want to get across is like the way that I could best like format into words is like obviously a stranger is like someone you don't know. So like wearing the brand, like it kind of sounds like a little like cringy when I say it, but like I've always felt like people didn't really like understand me or know me, and like even if people knew you on like a service level, they didn't really like know you or like you know what I mean. So that's kind of like what inspired the name like Strangers, like because you know even sometimes you kind of like know people but you don't really know like much about them, like you can still be like a stranger to them. So that's kind of like the idea concept behind that. But also it's just like I love designing stuff. I just love like expressing myself through clothes. Like you of all people know that I'm like obsessed with fashion, and I, you know what I mean? I take all that so seriously. So I wanted something to like be able to like express myself, but then also like inspire, like, cause the biggest goal is like to inspire someone like the way that Foul Play, FTP, like all these brands inspire me. Like they're the whole reason why I like got into streetwear and stuff. So kind of just like continuing that cycle, you know? Yeah,
which I think is so cool because I mean, for me, I had spent so much time listening to podcasts for like the last several years that I was like, once I figured out not how it's not easy to make one, it's definitely way easier than you would think.
Yeah.
And my thing was there were certain topics or certain themes or, you know, discussions that I wanted to talk about that like weren't covered in podcasts I was listening to. And I was like, well, if it's not covered, why don't I create one? You know what I mean? So it's cool that like you had a concept, you have like a vision for something, and then you set out and actually do it. Cause I mean, even me doing the merch stuff, which still is not like finished for the podcast is like daunting.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're releasing clothing, you know, and you have like a line and doing drops and stuff is like one of the coolest things.
Thank you. It's definitely hard. Another reason that I also wanted to get into it too is because I haven't really talked about this much, but because I'm like a girl and like I'm sure there's some streetwear owners that are girls, obviously, but it's really like a male dominated like industry. And I'm like, I feel like as a girl, I could bring like different ideas and like, I don't know, just kind of like make a name for girls out there. Cause I feel like, I don't know, like even like, obviously I'm not like that far into everything, but just like, I feel like sometimes people don't give me a lot of credit because I'm a girl and like I'm coming into like a male dominated thing. But that's like another thing. I'm like, dang, I want like obviously I want to inspire people, but it'd be really cool to inspire like other girls that are like that feel like me and that like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Why do you think the streetwear industry is so male dominated though?
Streetwear really comes from like, I feel like streetwear is like, it kind of like comes from like LA style and like skating, and I feel like a lot of guys are skaters and stuff. And I don't know, I feel like traditionally like girls don't dress. I mean, like I said, it's becoming more like trendy and stuff now, but traditionally like, you know, girls won't dress like in baggy clothes or like, especially like someone like Billie Eilish has made it really trendy and stuff too. But before like the past few years, it's like, you know, girls wear like crop tops and you know, like they would have like a different style and stuff. So I think that's why it's just more like dominated. But yeah, that's why another thing I'm like, dang, there's really not like many girls doing this. And then it's like I'm actually passionate about it and I'm actually serious about it. So it's like I'm like, you know, if the guys can do it, I can do it too, type of thing.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I think it's cool that like having the not only the desire, the push, and then like actually doing it, but then trying to be part of like that change of culture.
Yeah,
is super cool.
Yeah, thank you.
What did you have any like major obstacles though when you were like starting?
Honestly, getting the name Strangers was a little hard because it's like there's you know, Stranger Things, and there's a movie called Strangers. Strangers, like I don't know. It's like
yeah, no,
you know what
it's
I mean?
the horror movie.
Yeah. So that was a little hard, honestly. The whole process to actually get it like set up like officially and make it like a business and do taxes and everything like that is like tedious. Like that alone, I could like see like scaring people off. I actually had like my aunt. She has she's a realtor, so she has like a business. Yeah, so she helped me with different things, but probably took like almost 3 months to like fully set everything up. But wait, I forgot what the question was.
No, just like the obstacles. Like,
yeah.
Because I know, I mean, you hit my obstacle, and I remember reaching out to you and asking you in the beginning, like, I was like, do I need an LLC?
Oh yeah.
To start a podcast? Like,
yeah.
Because that's not stuff that you learn.
Yeah.
Like, no one tells you, oh, hey, if you ever want to start your own, like, content creation stuff, or if you want to start your own business, like, and the biggest thing I was afraid of, you know, looking at the merchandise side of it, like, I was like, do I have to have one to like even create merchandise?
Yeah.
Like even me looking stuff up, I still wasn't able to find like clear information on it.
Yeah. And like for certain things you really don't, like certain websites like TeePublic or Teespring or different things like that. That's honestly a route I considered going before like actually making Strangers a thing, but I just knew like I wanted like full control and like full creative control, and like certain websites like I don't know if they would have issues with certain designs or like, but I just wanted to like make my own products, and I really wanted to do like be a part of like the whole process, like shipping it myself and like, you know, different things like that. So but yeah, and it's hard too because I feel like I had to like do a lot of it by myself. Like not a lot of people want to like help you with stuff like that. I mean, granted, obviously everyone's busy, has their own shit. Has their own they have their own stuff going on, but yeah, it's definitely like hard. But I just knew like, okay, the stuff that I want to do, obviously I'm not like big or anything right now, but like my goal in the future is to make this like a thing, like a full-time thing. You know, so I was like, you know, I just want to get this over with from the start, like make it a business, do all this stuff. Because, you know, obviously, like, right now, I probably could be doing it on a different website, but I'm like, you know, I want to just, like, keep pushing myself to, like, make it bigger and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How does the design process work? Like, that's, like, the biggest thing for me is, like, when I was doing my stuff, luckily, I already had my logo, like, when I was doing the merchandise stuff, but how, because you just had a drop not too long ago, right? It was like 2 weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
It was like a month
was
ago.
It a month?
A little bit over a month ago, yeah. That's one thing that was like super hard learning like how to design stuff, just because I've never even took like any like design or like any classes like that or nothing. But it's a process, honestly. I honestly still feel like I'm learning, like I'm still getting better. I have a friend, the guy who runs Six Scope, his name's Dalton. He's helped me a lot and like shown me like different apps to use and like, you know, like how to find pictures, how to scrap stuff. But a lot of like design, a lot of streetwear is just like scrapping like different designs. Like say you find like really like obviously this one right here is like the devil. We added like the gun on it, we added the tattoos, we added the like the font and everything. So like a lot of times like you can just kind of like get an image, and if you add like enough to it and make it your own, then that's like when it's, you know what I mean, just making stuff. But yeah, it's definitely hard to like, usually I'll just go on like different image searching apps. I mean, you could obviously use Google Image, Pinterest. There's like different like literally just image searching apps where you just like look for whatever you're looking for. Like, you know, I'm definitely still on like the experimental phase, because like this drop that I have was more like I would say like cartoony looking, whereas like the last drop I had was more like simplistic, like black, white, like sketchy type. So I'm still like learning different styles and everything. But I kind of like it too, because I don't want it to be like predictable. Like I kind of want it to be like, you don't know what you're going to get. So, but yeah, it's definitely the designing and stuff is definitely super hard. But there's like, I think honestly, there's a lot of like, you know, I watch like a lot of YouTube tutorials, and I watch like there's like certain channels that help you like, you know, figure out some stuff. I do some stuff in like Photoshop and Illustrator, but honestly, personally, I just like apps on the App Store better. They're a lot easier to figure out.
And what's crazy to me is like the amount of tools that are accessible like on the phone, on your iPad, that help you make content. It's insane like how easy it is now. Before you had to have like Photoshop on your computer, like you had to know how to use Photoshop, like all these editing tools, which I think was super intimidating for someone that didn't know how to use like some of those editing things. But I mean, for me, like my not marketing stuff, but like how I was promoting the podcast on Instagram, it was as simple as me plugging in the video or image I want to use into an app that is designed for like Instagram marketing. And it makes it like super simple. So, because I think that was my biggest fear was like, oh crap, like, am I going to be able to figure out how to do all the editing stuff, even learning how to do like editing stuff for like the podcast. I remember when you first started, like, I remember talking to you about like you editing your videos and stuff, and me asking you like, hey, what are you using to do all this stuff?
No, and my friend, so I was using Photoshop and Illustrator at first. I still occasionally use it. I still like have it and stuff, but it's difficult like to learn. But then my friend Dalton, he was like, oh, I just use like these apps and like different like image eraser and just like a bunch of like different apps, and I've pretty much do everything like on my phone or on my iPad now. Like I hardly use Photoshop. I mean, I'll still like play around with it and stuff, but it's like it could be like super difficult.
One thing that you mentioned was with your friend Dalton is networking super helpful. Like, do you think you'd be as successful if you didn't have like other people that were already in the industry?
Well, he's literally my only friend that has a brand. Like, that's the thing. I know a lot of like brand owners and stuff, but I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because like I'm a girl and stuff, but I feel like people don't really take me that serious. Like, as of lately, people have been like, you know, I would say like gaining more respect because I have like been like, you know, doing better and like, you know, everything. But he's like pretty much like my only person that I know that has a brand too. But yeah, I really don't have like any like connections or anything. So he's like really like the only person I like bounce ideas back off of. But I don't know, I'm kind of getting to the point too where it's just like, I mean, obviously networking is important. You need like, especially in this like, you know,
industry and stuff.
You definitely need to like, but I'm kind of getting to the point where it's just like, I've gotten this far without really like needing anyone's help. So not that I'm like opposed to getting people's help, but I'm just like, you know, it's just like, I feel like you just kind of have to like figure things out on your own sometimes. No,
and that's good.
And I also wouldn't ever want anyone like, my friend Dalton obviously helps me a lot and has helped me like learn different things and stuff. But we collab, like we're literally best friends. But I would still like say like I have done all this like on my own. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so.
And I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to be like, oh, well, Justine's only relevant because so and so is her friend, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so.
No, and I think that was like how I am. Like, I watch all these podcasts, but they're huge podcasts. Yeah, like it's not like I can reach out and be like, hey, like, how did you like? It's not like I can be like, hey, like, what equipment are you using? Like, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? Luckily, there's like, I think my biggest help was YouTube, and then like forums, like on Reddit. There's a bunch of like podcast forums that I've that I've looked at. So
see, the thing with having a brand too, it's like hard because you gotta like start it up, like, or if you want to do it like, you know, legally, obviously, like get all the legal stuff set up, like taxes, everything like that set up. Then you gotta like, you know, design your stuff. Then you gotta find someone to like screen print or embroider or however you're gonna do it. You gotta find like a fulfillment person. then then I had to like set up my Shopify, and then like it's a process, like, and then I had to figure out how to set up a website with, and yeah, so it's definitely a process. So it's like, but now like doing it, I'm like glad that I did it by myself. I mean, like I still like have questions. I would still like take other people's advice, but I'm like, I feel like sometimes certain things are like you just gotta like figure it out yourself, you know. And I feel like that's what people get respect for, because like no one wants to just like like people can help you out. They can tell you like the like recipe, but they can't like make it for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, especially I mean with like branding stuff. If you're gonna spend the time and like the effort going in it and creating your own brand, you don't want it to be like a cookie cutter brand.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would never want our podcast to seem like a mock up of someone else's.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Or be like, oh, like, yeah, I have influences like my like Tiny Meat Gang, Noel and Cody, Andrew Santino, like all these guys that and girls that I've watched their podcast. I would never want someone to watch mine and be like, oh, he's just copying like their podcast. You know what I mean? So
that's a really good point you just made, because that's true. Like a lot of times, like when people like start stuff up, it's definitely okay to be inspired by people, but you have to have your own like, you have to have your own like thing. You have to like have your own uniqueness. Like people, like example FTP. Like FTP is a huge streetwear brand. I love FTP, but it's like if I just made all my designs and did everything like FTP, like okay, well, FTP already exists. We don't need an FTP 2.0. Like you have to make it your own.
I think my biggest fear is I would never want someone to watch this podcast and be like, oh, they're just a fan page.
Yeah.
It's just a remake
of... who Alex Warren is? They call him like the copycat David Dobrik.
Oh, no.
Oh,
okay.
Never mind.
Is it literally just copying, like doing the same stuff?
Pretty much. He's like pretty much like a copycat of David Dobrik.
Okay, so that kind of brings us into like the next kind of topic I want to talk about. You are very, very big into TikTok. Maybe not spending like hours and hours on TikTok, but you make TikToks, right?
Yeah, quite a few.
So, and this has been conversation on some of the other podcasts that I listen to, but I think it's a really interesting question about like the culture that we have today is like TikTok is literally designed
to
just copy everyone else's idea. You know what I mean? Like the whole premise of TikTok is to use someone else's sound and then recreate it with your own twist. Yeah.
Everything.
So it's like a weird question, but like, do you feel like that is going to like bleed over into like YouTube and like other forms of like media that we use?
Oh, that is a good question.
Because people already do like, there's huge like, and not in the same context that you do it, because I know you do like reaction videos to music and stuff, but there's like reaction videos to comedy videos.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
And
it's like and it's just like, to me that's just doing, it's almost like clout chasing. Like, if you're doing a reaction video to some like famous person's YouTube video, that audience is probably gonna watch your reaction video. You know what I mean? So it's weird. Like, I am so hesitant to like do anything like that, because like for a second I was like, oh, it'd be cool to do segments where we watch a video like, or like react to a video, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go down that route, because I just don't want it to be a copycat of like whoever else that I'm using their footage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, I feel like TikTok gets a bad name, and I would kind of understand why, because all these like famous TikTokers and stuff really are famous for no reason. Like they really they're just like don't do anything. You know what I mean? But no, I've definitely seen like famous TikTok accounts too, where like all they do is like stand in front of like other people's tweets and just like it's a funny tweet, and they're just like they get so much clout for that and everything. But and then I've also seen like different like YouTube videos of like someone like super funny, like say if someone reacted to one of like Cody and Noel's like not one of their songs, but like one of their, you know what I mean, and they're only getting views because of them. See, and I've had that struggle too, because like obviously like everyone pretty much who knows me knows I love Suicide Boys, and I do a lot of like Suicide Boys related content and stuff, and I've gone back and forth because it's hard because I'm like, dang, those videos get a lot of attention, but also I don't want to just be the girl who likes Suicide Boys. Like I want my own thing. So.
But I think I think that situation's a little bit different because you have such a niche following or like an audience on your YouTube page or YouTube channel. I think because that's one of your passions, you know, you are such a fan of Suicide Boys. It's like if I was doing reaction videos on like space stuff, people that don't listen to Suicide Boys wouldn't have any exposure to Suicide Boys if they weren't listening to or like watching your video, you know what I mean? So like, and especially if that's part of, I mean, Suicide Boys, based on the stuff that I've seen that you've done, Suicide Boys and like streetwear kind of go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think that is totally fine. I think it's like when, and Cody and Noel do it all the time. They'll react they'll react to a like viral video, and then like roast the video, which, yes, to me it's hilarious because they're comedians, so they're like adding their twist and like their point of view that's usually different than like everyone else's point of view on the video. But it's like when you look at it for face value, all they're doing is reacting to like someone else's popular video, you know what I mean? Now granted, they have a bunch of other content that is like original content, like they're doing skits and stuff, but I don't know, it's weird that like
I feel like if you can just somehow like, you know, exactly, like I would never watch those videos that they react to alone, but I just watch it because of their commentary, because it's funny. So I feel like as long as you can like find a way that you're like entertaining your audience because of you and not just solely relying on like whatever you're reacting to, then I think it's okay, you know. But honestly, there's so many, like nowadays though, there's so many people that are like famous for, or like social media famous for really like no reason, and it's like it's annoying, like, because obviously you look at these people and like, why are they famous? Like they don't do anything, they have no talent, they don't bring anything. But it's like, honestly, like at the end of the day, I feel like I can't hate on someone who's like getting their bag, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I would personally never watch their stuff and I don't find them entertaining, but somehow they've captured an audience, you know.
And that's why I think TikTok is so weird,
and it's because like it's just kids, you know.
But like, so I'll watch, there's certain people that I'll watch that will talk about like the cringy side of TikTok, and it's like when you're watching these videos, I'm like, thank God this is not coming up on my For You page, because I would delete the app right away. Like if this stuff kept coming up, I'd be like, what are these people doing on TikTok? But some of the stuff that people do, it's like the videos don't even make sense. There's like ones of like weird scenarios. There was one I was watching the other day where this guy, there's no talking in the entire video at all. It's just acting and like music, and he's going up and like pretending to give this girl like a candy bar, and when she goes to bite it, he pulls it and like he takes a bite, almost like, oh, got you. But then the way that the girls react are to kiss him, and it's like, okay, you're trying to portray that like you're out in public with random people, pretending to give them a candy bar, and then you psych them out and their reaction is going to be that they're going to kiss you. And it's like, you can see in the comments, it's like, WTF, like, what does this even mean? Like, where are you going in public? That, first of all, who would trust you? Who would, like, if someone walked up to me and tried giving me a candy bar and putting it in my mouth, I'd be like, yo, get away. What are you trying to do? And the last reaction I would have is to try to kiss them, you know what I mean? So it's just like ideas like this where, it's original content, but like, what is the point? You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I feel like TikTok, the one thing though, at least that luckily about TikTok is like they have an algorithm and they know like to never put that on like your For You page or my For You page. That's the one thing. TikTok, like, obviously they can come across like really cringy stuff, but I'm like, as you just give it like a day or two and TikTok will find out what you like and what you don't like. Because obviously I guarantee if we'd open our For You pages right now, they'd be completely different, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yours would probably... that would actually be a really funny challenge to do with someone, is to sit down before opening TikTok, write down your three top like trends. And then actually open your For You page and see what the general like thing is. I guarantee yours would be probably Probably Suicide Boys.
No, I actually don't come
Really?
across any suicide boys on TikTok.
Is there just not like a following
There's
on TikTok?
just no, not like that. My niche that I go for on YouTube, as far as I know, there's like no thing niche on it for TikTok.
Okay.
Like I feel like my TikTok and my YouTube are completely different, and have like 4,000 followers on TikTok, but I really don't think like people really know me from TikTok. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah,
It's weird.
yeah.
Like TikTok, you can just get like followers, but I don't have like an audience on there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
TikTok is the I don't even know how to say the word. The virality of TikTok, like how fast something can get viral on
Oh,
TikTok
yeah.
is insane.
Yeah, but then it's like as fast as you can go viral, people will forget about you.
Yes,
Too, you know?
like you'll see, and I think that's the weird thing is like you'll see TikTok accounts with like one viral video and it has like 2 million views, but then you look at their next video and it has like 300.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Like
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
never see a YouTube channel
Yeah, with
like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's like if a YouTube channel has that many people watching it, it's usually consistent at least, unless it's like some one-off thing that went viral from something else. So it's just TikTok is such a weird.
Yeah, it's
And the fact that like there was like a time that even still now it's kind of like unclear if it's gonna go away or not. People are losing their minds.
I was kind of annoyed. I didn't want it to go away. I like it. I honestly would never like I said, I don't think anyone like knows me from like TikTok. Like I don't think like, you know what I mean? Because I just like make videos with my friends or whatever. Like I just do it because it's fun. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's weird because I really only have like, okay, so I have like 4,000 on TikTok and then like 7,000 on YouTube. But I actually have like an audience on YouTube versus like TikTok. Like I think it's just like if someone sees my video, they'll like it and maybe follow me, but then never like see me again type of thing. So.
And it's one, I don't know. I think the biggest thing that pisses me off about TikTok is like you'll see a video go viral, but it's not even their audio.
Oh,
so like, and it happened with the TikTok dances in the beginning. There was I can't remember who I can't remember who the originator or the creator of the dance was, but it went viral from someone else's video doing
Renegade.
it. Was it Renegade?
That was like a big thing.
Though it was the one that they did at the NBA Finals.
Yeah, it was.
They
Renegade.
had like the original girl like that wasn't getting any clout from it.
Yeah, and
they had her come to the yes,
yeah.
So stuff like that. It's just it cracks me up that like.
Or there's like audios where like someone's like talking and then someone's literally just voicing them over and like the original doesn't blow up, but then like the voiceover that's fake blows up and it's like what?
Okay, that happened the other day and I was really pissed because the video I saw, the video part of it wasn't good. Like, and you could tell it was a voiceover, but he tagged it as original content. So then I couldn't even find the original video. And it was one of those videos where it's like a kid and a dad talking, but the person that made the TikTok video does both roles.
Oh.
So it's switching. It's like them in the car and they're switching back and forth from being like him in the front seat, him being in the back seat. But his lip sync is like terrible. And I was like, where is this?
And it went viral or?
It was like, it
or not viral, but it was
on my
big,
For You page and it had like a bunch of likes and it was the top sound, like the top video for that sound. But it was his sound. So it was probably someone that went on YouTube, pulled a clip, used the sound and then just
re-uploaded it. Yeah.
Which pisses me off. It's like, don't like at that point it's like, okay, now you're stealing content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I feel like honestly TikTok is like the best and worst way to blow up because you can blow up really easily, but like I mean, like, who really has respect for TikTokers? No one. Like, I feel like TikTokers are just like a joke, but I mean, like, they're getting their bag, so like, good for them. But I'm like, but I would never like. I mean, like, I find like some TikTokers entertaining, but there's like none that I'm like, oh, I follow this girl on TikTok and she's so talented and she's so. I'm just like.
Yeah, the only ones that I think the accounts that I follow that like I follow on a consistent basis and I like look for their content are either comedians that are like smaller, so like I'll follow like they're not small, but like Noel and Cody, like I'll follow on there.
Yeah.
And then there's like smaller channels that have like that are pretty wholesome, not wholesome in like their content, but like they're genuine.
Yeah.
You can tell that they're not like trying to blow up and like become a millionaire because they're on TikTok. It's like they're posting content. One of their videos just happened to go viral. and they're dealing with like this now growth of like people like, watching their stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's weird.
Yeah. I think that's what I like about like my niche though, because like I feel like you can tell like, yeah, obviously I'm trying to like establish stuff, but I don't think like nothing on my channel is like very like viral trending, like you know what I mean? Like I'll review music, but it's not like, oh, WAP comes out and I'm reviewing that because I know it's like popular. It's like I'm reviewing stuff that I genuinely
Let me
care
make something
about.
very clear. If I had ever found out you did a reaction video for WAP, I'd probably you probably wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Or like when 6ix9ine came out like Jail or whatever, and then he dropped a song and like all these big music reactors
everyone was doing it.
People were they were like, are you gonna do a reaction? I was like, no, why would I do a reaction? Like I don't care about 6ix9ine. Like,
and I think that's one of the telltale signs of someone that like makes genuine content is like, okay, are they making content because it interests them, or are they making content because they see a trend and they know like there's one group, because we had even talked about it for the podcast, like doing like current event stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to be a news channel. Like I don't want to be.
It's hard too, especially when you're first starting. It's really hard to like, because obviously at the end of the day on social media you need exposure, like because you got to find like people that will want to watch you and stuff. So it's really hard like to like. It's not hard not to sell out or whatever and just do like cringy stuff that you know is going to be views. But especially when you're starting up, I could understand why sometimes people would do stuff like that's trending and that's like, you know, like it's going to get some eyes on you just because like you're like, oh, well, maybe let's see this video and then they'll like my other videos or like my other content or whatever. But yeah, I think if you're just like consistently always like just following trends and stuff like that, like you'll just look like a clout chaser, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's funny because like nowadays, like I think we live in a society now where even kids, like parents are like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they're like, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a streamer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like clout chasing is now like
normalized.
Well, it's now that's what defines you, which is crazy. Like a view number on a video defined, like in people's eyes, defines like who they are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is just it's crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, you know what's also crazy too, speaking of that, like someone like Cody or Noel, what do they have, like a few million subscribers, whatever?
Yeah.
But even them, they're like, they have like, I don't know how many they have, but like I know a few million, whatever. But even them, they're not like small creators, obviously, but they're not like now. It's crazy how like these TikTokers, like Addison Rae or whatever, she has like 60 million followers. Like that's insane.
And it's like for what?
Exactly.
Like,
for what, dude?
For your TikTok videos, like
and granted, like obviously it's not like she's like forcing people to follow her, like, you know, obviously they probably just think she's pretty or whatever, but yeah, it's crazy how like like a million, obviously a million is still a lot of people. That's insane, like to have a million followers.
Yes.
But even now it's like you could have a million followers and really not be like relevant at all. Not relevant, but you know what I mean?
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a really good point. The fact that like 1 million subscribers is now like, okay, you're doing something good, but look at this other person.
Yeah.
Like look at these other channels. I'm pulling it up because I really was curious to see how many subscribers.
Oh, Noel and Cody have.
Yeah.
TMG.
So if you guys don't know, I know I've talked about it in a podcast before, but Noel Miller and Cody Ko are the two comedians that make up Tiny Meat Gang. The name originates because I think Noel's like 5'9" or something, and Cody is like 5'10" or something. And people growing up, they used to get made fun of because they were short. So they thought it would be funny to call themselves like the Tiny Meat Gang or whatever.
Yeah.
But so okay, this is what's crazy. Their podcast only has 730,000, but when you go to like like their individual, so Noel is at 2 million. 2 million. I know Cody's
like 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah.
He's like 5, yeah.
And but Cody also started from Vine.
Yeah.
Cody blew up
there. Yeah, I followed
Vine,
him on Vine.
and then came over to YouTube.
Yeah, that's actually where I found him, on Vine before YouTube or whatever. Which
is so crazy to me that like it's still like there's still like a translation of that. Like you start on Vine, you're famous on Vine, and then your followers will follow you to a different platform like YouTube, where he blew up on YouTube. You know, he's still extremely popular.
Yeah.
And then I think their podcast is as popular as it is not. Yes, it is. In my opinion, it's one of the better podcasts.
I was gonna say, I feel like their podcast is pretty popular, honestly. I don't even know that many podcasts, but I know their podcast.
Yeah, but Noelle, I think Noelle and Cody have their podcast blew up because of their fame from Vine and YouTube.
Yeah, and YouTube. Yeah,
I don't think that they if they hadn't had that previous exposure, I don't think that they would be where they're at. Right now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like last year, they toured across the globe.
Yeah,
and did live
crazy.
shows.
Yeah,
like live podcast shows and skit shows.
Yeah,
like throughout the world.
That's crazy.
From making Vines.
I think honestly, like I said, I knew Cody from Vine, and then I saw him on YouTube or whatever, and then I was like, oh, I remember him from Vine, because I didn't really like follow him much. I just like knew him on Vine or whatever. Yeah. And then through his YouTube, I was like, oh, he has a podcast or whatever, and then but it's funny how like that's how it like works, and that's what all these TikTokers are doing nowadays. They're like just trying to get big on TikTok and
so they can transfer over to like Instagram or
Instagram or something like that. But yeah, it's
just such a crazy like.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's
social
weird.
Social media is crazy.
Yeah,
and you really never know what's gonna like. It's funny because there's a lot of times where I'm like, dang, you never know what's gonna like pop off and what's gonna like, you know, like flop completely. Because like sometimes there's like viral stuff and I'm just like people think it's like so funny or it has like millions of views and I'm just like, oh, I don't really think it's that funny. But like,
yeah, or
it's just like, oh wow, but what do I know? Because everyone else loves it. So,
but that's how I feel with like Noelle and Cody. I think their stuff is the funniest stuff in the world.
I think they should
but then
bigger.
Some people
think they're cringe.
Yeah, I'll show some people and they're like, what are you watching?
I remember an old friend or whatever, I was like showing them. I was watching like Cody Co or whatever, and I was like laughing so hard, and they're like, "Oh, these guys are so cringe." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "They're cringe? Are you serious?" Like,
what's funny about that is they're the ones that do cringe reaction videos.
Yeah.
Like that's what one of their most famous videos is, them literally watching cringe videos and then reacting. They reacted
to like one of like Jake Paul's songs.
Oh,
his diss against teachers.
Okay, that video is one of the best. Not Jake Paul's video.
The reaction.
The reaction video is one of the best ones because at the end of that video, they show the diss track that a teacher made in response to Jake Paul's, and the teacher
went off,
roasted them. And it was funny because like Jake Paul's like, dude, literally a teacher just flamed you, like a whole school. And the beginning of that video is like they're going through the school and it's like a bunch of like portrait like stills, or not stills, but like slow-mo videos of like teachers just sitting in their desk just staring at the camera. And you could tell like they're super like pissed.
Yeah.
But then that teacher just goes in and like and has like some pretty good bars.
Yeah.
Like
I don't remember exactly everything, but I remember I was like, dang, that's crazy. Yeah. But even someone like Jake Paul, I don't even know what Jake Paul's. There's so many people that I'm just like, I don't get it, but like whatever, go off, do your thing.
The problem is there's nothing, like it's not going to change. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's why I'm like, people spend so much time like hating and stuff. And like I said, I don't have like respect for these people or anything, but at the same time, like, well, that's
their position. That's where they are in their life right now. And
because I think too, I'm sure people would look at my channel that have like someone like on the complete opposite end of me, like has no interest in like that, like clothes, or like maybe someone like a minimalist, like they're like, and they would see my channel and be like, why do people find this interesting? You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, I try not to like discredit anyone, especially people that are doing better than me, because it's like, well, people find their channel interesting. So and people could say the same thing about
and anything, I think that's you know, I think unfortunately that's the world we live in now, is everything has to do with, well, it offends me, or I don't like it, or it's like, okay, just because you don't like something does not mean you need to be offended by it. You know what I mean? I think the Jordan and Blake and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago, but the concept of like what is true is so faded now. Like I could tell you a fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't agree with the fact, you could be like, well, that's just your opinion.
Yeah.
I think everyone, like, that's how everyone is now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So even like people could hate on your brand or hate on your YouTube channel, and it's like, okay, then just don't watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean, for the most part, I would say like 80-85% of like comments are like positive and stuff. Like everything's like pretty nice or whatever, but I definitely like, I mean, I haven't even experienced like nearly what other people experience, but yeah, I do get like hate comments sometimes, or people being like
but about what though? Like, what is there to like?
You would be surprised.
Here's the thing: it's not like you're doing something controversial. It's not like you're doing something like political or anything like that. You're literally like, you have your own brand.
Yeah.
You're reacting to music.
Yeah.
You're like
people
promoting.
be like, I don't like this reaction, or like I remember I did a video recently reacting to some music, and it was like an instrumental, like the song I listened to was an instrumental, and I was like, oh, this kind of gives me like American Horror Story vibes, because it was like kind of like a spooky type thing, and someone was like, I can't believe you would even say that, like that's disrespectful. I was like, what? That's just like that's just like what popped in my head, like what clicked or whatever. Yeah, so
it's just like stuff like that. It's like,
or like I've done like videos where it's like, oh, my top favorite Suicide Boys song, and people be like, I can't believe you didn't mention this song, and they have like 400 songs. So I'm like, well, what are the chances that I was going to mention that song? Like, so, but most of the comments I would say don't really bother me, because it's just like, they're not that big of a deal.
Okay. I was getting like irritated by what you were saying. Like, I was like annoyed for you about like people commenting crap like that. My watch just goes off and goes, your heart rate's above 100 right now. It's like my heart rate's like, yo, chill out. It's not that deep.
No, literally. I mean, I honestly don't really take it. Like, I really have yet to get really, really bothered by a comment, because most of the time it's just like something dumb like that, where I'm just like, okay, at least they're not like straight like coming for my life or whatever. It's just like they didn't agree with something I said, even though it's like what I said really is just like my opinion. I wasn't, you know what I mean?
Yes. It's not like you're telling everyone, hey, these are the best songs, or like, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, honestly though, and this goes for anyone, if you're gonna be on the internet, like even if you only did videos of you like giving to charity and doing like nice things or whatever, no matter what you could do, you could literally sit there and do nothing and people would find something to say. So it's just like, honestly, you can't get on the internet if you're gonna like be sensitive. Like,
yes, Noelle and Cody talk about that all the time. They're
yeah,
like, yo, if you can't handle like people disagreeing with you and having a different opinion than you, do not be on the internet. Even for no reason.
Like, even like I said, even for like my reaction of a music video or something, like it's not like I'm saying like you have to feel this way, but no matter what, people are like, literally, I don't think I have a video on my channel that doesn't have a dislike, which is crazy, because it's like, I'm like, I really don't feel like my videos are like controversial or anything, but like I would say all of my videos at least have like some have.
Well, and I feel like some of that is just people being a freaking troll.
Yeah.
I feel like there are some people out there that thrive from ruining other people's days.
Oh, you know what? Another thing. I'm sure this happens to all genders, but like being a girl or whatever, like I've had like situations where like guys will like, this more so happens in like DMs. Well, not that I answer, but like, or like sometimes in comments, but guys will be like, hi, like, what's your number or whatever, like just like try to message me. Obviously I don't respond, or honestly I don't really go through my DMs like all that much or whatever, and then they'll be like, well, F you anyways, you're a B, you're this, and like go off, and I'm just like, so sometimes I feel like it could be like someone tried to get my attention and then I didn't give it to them, or like I literally didn't see it, so then they flip, and then so they like leave hate comments or like do whatever, you know what I mean?
That is the most,
which I'm like, dude, I didn't even see it, like.
No, but even if you had seen it, there's a reason why that person reached out to you, right? Whether they wanted something or whether they, thought you were attractive, whatever.
Yeah.
Then by saying, oh, F you, you're this, you're that, it's like, okay, well, you didn't think that like 10 minutes ago when you sent me a DM trying to get my attention.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Literally.
It makes it like, I don't think guys that do that realize, or guys or girls, either way, realize that it makes you look like such a fool when you do that. Like, it makes you look so childish.
Yeah, literally. But I also just think, like, obviously there's a lot of amazing people in the world, but I also feel like there's some very, very, very strange people in the world. And especially, I'm like, you never know who's what. Especially like
That's
my
what
video.
you get for naming your brand.
Oh my God, darn it.
You were asking for them
That's
to come
true.
to you.
I'm manifesting them.
Yeah.
No, but there's also some very, very strange people in the world. And that's why I'm like, you know what, honestly, this person's probably like weird in the head. So I'm like, I'm not even gonna take what they're saying seriously. So, especially on the internet, like, it could just be someone who like just sits in their basement all day and just comments on videos.
Yeah.
You know? So,
I don't know.
But yeah, it's crazy.
So before we wrap up, I think the last question I had for you was for someone that has thought about or someone that is like in the process of thinking of either creating content or creating like a business venture, like a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice? Like if you could give one piece of advice for someone like creating their own thing, what would it be?
I feel like my advice is gonna be so cheesy, but like, one, just do it, because like for so long I was like hesitant, like I wanted to do stuff, but then I was like, I can't do it. Obviously, everyone has self-doubt, like, but you got to believe in yourself before anyone else can. So obviously, just do it. And like, as cheesy as this is gonna sound, but just be you, because like when I feel like I started getting like the most attention when I feel like really just like made videos on like what I liked and like didn't hold back. And like, even though like some people like probably think it's super cringy, like the way I'm like obsessed with Suicide Boys and obsessed with FTP and like different things, like some people probably don't understand it. They're like, what the heck, like that's whatever, that's your thing or whatever. But it's just like, just in being me, people have like really like, they like it, you know what I mean? People, you know what I mean? There's only one you, and no matter like if you think you're dorky or you think like you're cringy or whatever, like people will just appreciate you for being you. So it's like, just do it, be you. And it's like, believe in yourself before, and like don't care about what people think, but yeah, just do it, because there's a million reasons like you can convince yourself not to do it, but once you just do it and stay consistent with it, like people will respect it. And you know, they might not always like it, but they'll like respect it, and then you'll find like the people that are like you that like it too, you know what I mean? But yeah, definitely just the hardest thing I feel like, because even like you talked about like doing a podcast for a long time, but it's like really just like doing it, like you just gotta start it, because it's like you gotta make that transition from an idea to like reality. And
I think for me, like you said, once I had made that decision, okay, I'm gonna do it, it was 10 times easier. Like I think I was super afraid of, well, what if it doesn't work out, or what if I don't know how to use the equipment, like blah blah blah. I kept making excuses in my head for why I shouldn't do it, and then I did it, and I was like, what the heck, I could have done this 6 months ago.
Exactly.
Like I literally could have been doing this entire time. I could have been. And then you'll see
everyone around you, for the most part, like you'd be surprised how supportive people are. Like,
you have a great group of supportive friends. Like, and luckily I know most of them because we all work together, but I think for you, I think that's one of the coolest things that I've like noticed from the outside looking in, that like you have a great group of people that are, like have supported you and like have your back, and that are like pushing your merchandise, like all this stuff, which I think is good. I think that's kind of, that would be my piece of advice, would be like, it's always good to have good friends, but I think it's even more important to have friends that like that will support you. Because I don't know, like if I didn't have Jordan and Blake and you and everyone else that has like kind of egged me on to like do my podcast, like you and I would talk about it at work all the time, and you're like, just freaking do it. Like if I didn't have people like that, I probably wouldn't have the podcast still.
Exactly.
So I think it's really important to find like not even people that are interested in doing it, but like at least have people that are supportive enough to like, hey, just like, you have an idea, like, well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Literally, the worst that can happen, it doesn't happen the way you thought it was going to be, but that's not always a bad thing. You know?
All right, before we wrap up, go ahead and, what is your YouTube channel again? And then where can people find your merch?
Okay.
Because that's pretty important.
Okay, so my YouTube channel is Justine Lugo. And then my brand is Strangers, so it's shopstrangers.co, and then Instagram is shopstrangers, so just at shopstrangers, but I'm sure it'll be linked in the description.
I'll put it in the description.
But
make sure you guys go follow and subscribe Justine on YouTube and look up her Instagram. And also, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. It has been a very fun episode. I'm glad that you were able to come on. And
let us know if you want a part 2.
Yeah, no, we will definitely need to do another episode. I think it'll be fun. Silvana wasn't able to come tonight, but Silvana worked with us. She's one of your best friends.
Yeah.
There's some questions I want to ask her. She's kind of in the same field as I am right now, so I think that'll be a good episode. But we will see you guys next week. Thanks.
Bye.